17 октября.
October 17th. Greetings to all. Today is the second part of the film about the Svyatogorsk Lavra and the fate of Metropolitan Arseny. The first part of the film caused very interesting comments under the first video. I am grateful to all those who left them. Thank you. These are amazing words. I decided to change my plan and dedicate this issue to what, after all, and under what circumstances. Why did the Ukrainian authorities lock up the Metropolitan in prison? What does he incriminate in general, and why did this situation happen? But it is obvious because it is directly related to his life position, with his sermons that he read in his Lavra. And in fact, now I'm going to show these materials, these recordings. Yes, very strong. Very strong words, a very strong position of the Metropolitan. And this example in itself, the fact that he was put in prison, is a checkmate to the Ukrainian authorities. Regardless of whether they release it or not, the very fact that they have closed it is already there. This action is checkmate. A stalemate. There is no other good way out of this situation for the Ukrainian authorities anymore. They will set him free, they will not set him free. This is an example of God fighting. That very God fighting, which is the main claim from Ukrainians to the authorities of the Soviet Union, to the Bolsheviks. When they behaved, well, the result was about the same. Now, it is even possible not to dive into a comparison of the reasons for this God fighting, which was in those days, and in this. The fact is that the result is exactly the same. And by itself, even if we do not take into account the God fighting, here I am as the logic of the situation itself. On the worldly laws by which human society lives, is not a model of morality. They are built on those laws that come into our world from above, from the spiritual world. The worldly authorities. The Metropolitan should go to him to bow and ask, still coming up with very ingratiating formulations. So that the Metropolitan enlightens them, by his grace, how they should behave, and what laws to adopt, they close him in prison. Which is called a correctional system for worldly criminals. Do you want to correct the Metropolitan, who broadcasts to you from a spiritual platform? In accordance with your immature, to put it mildly, worldly ideas about life, not to mention the fact that today's Ukrainian government has no words at all. So I'm going to take a break, and let's get closer to what Metropolitan Arseny was imprisoned for, and for this, we need to listen to the sermons that he read. Attention to the screen.
Не отступит никакая мать от Бога, пока не вымолит свое дитя.
No mother will depart from God until she begs her child. So is the mother of God. She will not depart from God, who intercedes for us, until she begs us. But, brothers and sisters, what I want to say. We must understand that the enemy rises up from the outside in every way, when we suffer terrible disasters, wars. The enemy tries to defeat our people from the inside, dividing them, embittering each other, forcing them to seize churches. Mocking in a buffoonish way, jumping in front of the holy gates of the Kiev-Pechersk Lavra, the deputies of the Verkhovna Rada said that at the next meeting, they will consider the issue of banning the Ukrainian Orthodox Church.
По-скоморошески прыгая перед святыми вратами Киево-Печерской лавры, депутаты Верховной Рады сказали, что на ближайшем заседании они рассмотрят вопрос о запрете Украинской Православной Церкви. То есть нас с вами запретят. А как это понять, запретят? Заставят нас не молиться Богу? Заставят нас не исполнять заповеди?
And how to understand it will be banned? Will they force us not to pray to God? They will force us not to fulfill the commandments of God. Make us dislike each other. Will they make us not worry prayerfully for our fatherland? Why are such laws being passed? That we have little trouble to expel our mothers from churches where they pray to the Mother of God, both for their sons and for our fatherland.
Где они молятся Божией Матери и за своих сыновей, и за наше Отечество.
And we, brothers and sisters, believe that the Lord and the Mother of God are not with those who rise up against the church, but with those who, in humility, in repentance, in striving to live according to conscience and according to God, pray to God and ask God, while trying to be God's.
Молится Богу и просит Бога, стараясь при этом быть Божьим.
On the 23rd of September, 2023 year, on the eve of the Cathedral of the Holy Mountain Saints, a large number of pilgrims and volunteers came to the Holy Lavra. Several buses were stopped at checkpoints at the entrance to Svyatogorsk. The pilgrims had a full search of their personal belongings, and their personal data was recorded in some lists. And the pilgrims' phones and social networks were also searched. But even after all these inspections and entry into the lists, people who came from afar and brought food, medicines and other assistance to the monastery, and numerous refugees living in the monastery, after standing at a checkpoint for 7 hours, could not get into the monastery. Here is what Metropolitan Arseny said on this occasion. Many of you have come today as pilgrims to the all-night vigil. But they called, said 3 more buses are standing, which are not allowed. And people asked to pray to be let through. On Christmas, the Most Holy Theotokos, SBU officers came to interview what you will have for the holiday. I told him what would happen and how the service would be held. And it seems that they dispersed well and peacefully. But today there are 3 posts in Tatyanovka. Alone on the mountain of Kala Artyom, there is a post at the bottom, and near the end of the Tatyana brought to the monastery. They stand, check passports, take pictures of people, write down passport numbers. The data is recorded, the email number, the mobile phone number of everyone is recorded.
Фотографируют людей, записывают номера паспортов, электронной почты номер мобильного телефона у каждого записывают. Но это нарушение юридических прав. Так ли они записывали 32 тысячи хасидов в Умане?
But this is a violation of legal rights. So did they record 32,000 Hasidim in Uman who came to celebrate the new year? And if it is possible to make a pilgrimage by one religious denomination, then there should be equal rights for other religious denominations. And if foreign citizens came and celebrated their religious holiday, why are the citizens of Ukraine, who according to their passport are relatives on this land, in their homeland, why are we not allowed to pray to those saints who have become famous for holiness here on the land of Ukraine? And this is why we have come to place ourselves, our families, our husbands and sons who are at the front, in the hands of God, under the protection of the Mother of God, under the prayerful intercession of our holy mountain monks. They came to pray for them. We have come to pray for our fatherland, for the soonest peace in our fatherland. After all, we have gathered so much for this. Isn't that right, brothers and sisters? Therefore, brothers and sisters, people have asked to pray that this will be resolved somehow, but I ask you all prayers. Because this operation with the verification of documents, it is only scheduled for 2 days. For today and for tomorrow. Before that, they checked, and after that. I think they won't check tomorrow, even after lunch. Because the main thing for them is to stop. And at first, when I called the SBU, they explained to me, Vladika, don't worry, this is just an ongoing document check. This happens there or there in the region. But this, I say, is not a test. People are not allowed in. Then I was told that we should avoid any crowded meetings. Go tell it near the new post office in Slavyansk and at the Slavyansky Bazaar. And in Uman, tell me this, where did they celebrate? Why didn't you talk about it there? But 32,000 pilgrims were launched by trains, buses, and private cars through Poland. Yes. Are we not like that on our own land? Therefore, brothers and sisters, I ask 4 holy prayers. There is temptation, of course, but nevertheless there is a holiday.
И праздник есть.
Not only will you be present at the service, I am sure that thousands of people will be waiting for some news from the holy mountain. Because there are 87,000 views of what is being done there in the Svyatogorsk Lavra. It's not just us, it's a lot of people who are in America, in Western Europe, in Australia, and everywhere, looking at what's in the holy mountains. Yes, an American delegation came recently, which brought the relics of Saint Arseny the Great to us, and everyone knows it. But you, brothers and sisters, are not silent either. And in social networks, try to watch the services in the holy mountains. And those who were not allowed into the holy mountains, then please also say this on social networks. And I think that with this non-admission of pilgrims, this is not a plus they are doing even to our power. And the authorities. And the authorities are doing a minus to their detriment, showing their undemocratic nature, which is so much talked about today. They also say that we care, suddenly there will be shelling, and you are gathered here. We have been under fire for 3.5 months, and no one has asked what we are here, and how we are here. And he expressed his condolences for the dead of our brothers and sisters who were here, died.
И кроме того, если они так уже уверены, что какие-то обстрелы, почему не предупреждены об этом жители города Святогорска, жители Савтатьяновки? Не предупреждены. Нас никто не предупредил, что они знают о каких-то обстрелах, а нам ни слова не сказали.
And besides, if they are already so sure that some kind of shelling, why are the residents of Svyatogorsk not warned about it? No one warned us that they knew about some kind of shelling, and they didn't say a word to us.
Оно, конечно, переживательно.
It is, of course, emotional and insulting for our Orthodox people that we have become so much worse a criminal in the state, in our fatherland.
Но помолитесь и за тех, кто не смог до нас проехать, не по нашим причинам. Храни всех Господь.
The humility of these people is amazing. They survived the shelling, kept their dead people under fire under shelling. And now the Ukrainian authorities are also mocking them. They are not letting people in the list yet. By the way, he has now denounced the authorities in many things at once. So calmly, quietly, well, he said a lot of important things. What was recorded in the list, documents, social networks were checked, photographed, passports and phones were recorded. So let the people pray, why did they come here? They don't let me in. But at the same time, there are 32,000 Hussites who came from foreigners. They were also placed there in hotels, by the way, that's all the rest. That is, they can do that, but we can't do it here. That's what he's talking about. Violation of democracy. It's like a sharp knife, such facts that he pulls out and says. And one more thing. Look how he said, you here. Standing in front of me, well, they showed a little there, but there are about 30 people, probably no more than 40, that are standing in the temple. But he says we have 80,000 people on the broadcast now, watching from all over the world. And the Ukrainian authorities are doing such stupid things. They arrest him. 87,000 people watch this service on the broadcast. Thank you all for the comments you send in support of these people. You can see what kind of situation they have there now, what a struggle, how much humility they need. And even their own authorities are already persecuting them, even taking into account how humble they are. After all, they are not trying to organize a maiden. And there are no calls for this. On the contrary, he says, we will be a prayer. We will not arrange maidens. But they put him away and don't let him out. Now the brothers are filing a lawsuit with the Court of Appeal that, well, let an old man go, that you keep him in prison. After all, you don't even have an accusation for him in fact. These are the checkpoints that he mentioned in the last speech that we have just listened to. He called the location of the checkpoints. And this is a formal reason for the SBU to detain him, that he told everyone, the whole world, where the SBU checkpoints are located. They have been there in these places for more than 10 years. There is already a war going on there. These roadblocks are already known to everyone there. And, by the way, these roadblocks are visible on publicly available satellite images of Google Maps. You're putting the Metropolitan in jail. Well, plant Google. Put everyone in jail then. Ukrainians.